folks. Hello again. Welcome to our PPOA podcast once again. And we have a really special guest today. We're joined by Eric Nakano. He's a city council member here in San Dimas. He represents District 2. Eric, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, President Johnson. Okay. It's good to be here.
All right, yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's we do talk to quite a few different types of people here. It's really good to have actually a local elected. So thank you for being here. How did you get involved with City Council here in San Dimas?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wasn't planning on running or getting involved at all. I grew up in San Dimas. I attended local schools. I was actually born in San Dimas Hospital, so it's kind of unique about me. And I ended up wanting to move away as fast as I could when I turned 18. So I ended up going to school and moving away and building out my career in Washington, D.C. and San Francisco. But it turns out that my mother ended up getting sick. She got colon cancer. And as a result, I started commuting back and forth to care for her in San Dimas. And then when she passed away, I have a sister who's special needs and ended up moving in to care for her, and am now living in the home that I grew up in. And this was right before COVID. So once COVID happened, I just started paying attention to what was going on in the city. And I thought I could make a difference.
How long have you served on City Council?
Almost 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Okay, that's some time there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Do you feel like you're seasoned at this point, or a lot more to learn or do?
I think that every single meeting I'm learning something new. Right. The great thing is I love learning, and I love coming and asking questions and trying to become more educated about whatever issue it is that the city is facing. So I don't know if I'll ever be seasoned. I think I'm always going to be almost a scholar in many ways.
Consummate learner. Right.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
No, with regard to being on City Council, can you talk about some of the challenges and or accomplishments within the last couple of years here in San Dimas?
One is just the perception that crime has been a lot worse, especially since COVID, and in particular retail crime. I think we can all agree that more serious crimes like murders and that sort of a thing have been, I think, lower across the county. And I do want to credit a lot of what the Sheriff's Department has done. Another issue that we face here in San Dimas is just the fear around public safety with the opening of the A-line. The great news is that we worked really closely with our Sheriff's Department to ensure that we're communicating and building out a plan to monitor what was going on around the station. And so a lot of those fears have not borne out, at least in statistics. We haven't seen an increase in any crime at all. And the great thing is that it's brought a lot of people to our downtown where they're spending money and getting to know the city of San Dimas. And so it's more anecdotal at this point because it only opened just like a month ago.
Right.
And then I think the last thing is just managing change. San Dimas used to be a town, when I was growing up, used to be a very big equestrian community. It was a community that was much smaller than it is now. And so a lot of people still have this idea that San Dimas is this rural community where there are people who have horses everywhere, and it's changed now a lot. So managing that change and making sure that it still at least reflects the values of the town that I grew up in.
And kind of transitioning into the cost of living, high housing cost. In our department, we've experienced huge challenges with regard to vacancies, recruitment, retention, staffing, those types of things. What's your, as a local elected, what are your perceptions about why those things exist?
So it's been very puzzling to me that we talked about this a little bit earlier, that a lot of other law enforcement agencies seem to be doing much better in recruiting, but the agencies within LA County seem to be struggling a little bit more, not just the sheriffs, but also LAPD.
I spoke not long ago at the Board of Supervisors meeting, and I did a presentation about nationally, even throughout the state, law enforcement staffing levels are back on the rise, close to their pre-pandemic levels. But there's something, I think, potentially we're an outlier in that you haven't seen that same impact in LA County.
I do strongly disagree with the idea that the people who serve our communities should not be able to afford a place in the community in which they serve. I'm very much in support of both paying wages that will enable law enforcement to be able to afford to live in places like St. Amos, along with nurses and teachers and other people that make our community great.
Speaking of accessibility, by next year we're going to have quite a few global events. For example, the Olympics, World Cup, Super Bowl. What's your hope in terms of this area, as a local elected, tying your city into the Olympics?
So for some of the other events like the Super Bowl and the World Cup, obviously you could only have those at big stadiums, and St. Amos doesn't have like a stadium that can fit 70,000 people. But I also think that for those other events, we could still be a part of it by hosting different watch parties and other types of things that showcase to those from visiting from outside that LA County has a lot to offer, and patronize our businesses, explore all different aspects of this county. So I'm hopeful that before the schedule is finalized, that maybe they're able to make use of some of the places we have here, like Puddingstone, like Benelli Park, and host some events there. So that way the Olympics really does feel like a county-wide event.
That's great to know that you support that, and there's lots of opportunity, not only for people to see it, but then growth and business and things like that.
Right.
Maybe have some infrastructure things improved before that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I meant to ask you. You are you the first elected in your family? Are you other people in your family work in public service?
My mom was a school teacher and my dad worked in nonprofits. And then locally, my dad's brother, so my uncle, was very involved with the city of Glendora. If you've ever been to Donut Man, he founded Donut Man. So and through that, he's been involved in the chamber of Glendora and the city council. And he didn't serve as an elected. And then beyond that, I have one prominent member of my extended family, my great uncle, was very involved in elected politics from San Jose. So he served on the city council there, then mayor, and then Congress, and then from there ended up serving in both the Clinton and the Bush administrations as the Secretary of Commerce and the Secretary of Transportation. And so I took a lot of my inspiration from him in terms of giving back and seeing what someone can do. That was not like what was on the top of my mind when I ran. I just wanted to make a difference and give back because I was here. So it wasn't like I had this plan to be an elected official. It was just more I wanted to accomplish something and do something.
But also, it also appears like it's kind of like a family tradition. Public service is kind of in you, just innately in you.
I think
calling,
so.
if you will.
But I also think it's not really a family tradition. I think it's an American tradition. We don't live in a country where we have monarchs. The function of our government is completely dependent upon people saying that I'm good enough and I have a perspective and I want to contribute in some way. We don't benefit when everybody on city council is someone with a PhD. We benefit when people from all backgrounds, whether they dropped out of high school, whether they went to college, whether they serve as in the trades, whether they serve as a deputy, when those perspectives are represented and they're actively engaged in our community. And so I'd like to think less of a family tradition, but more of an American tradition.
Okay,
that's As of you, I know
I'll go with that.
Yeah. Your service is pretty remarkable. And
Thank you.
admirable.
Just kind of closing it out. It sounds like you do quite a bit. You're a very busy man. How do you decompress? Like, what's like? Is there a fun, interesting activity you have that most of your, maybe even your friends don't know about? Like, how do you de-stress?
Yeah, I'm an addict of the Food Channel and the HGTV,
Okay.
Home and Garden Network. And so right now there's a show called Halloween Wars. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's basically these teams that get together and they bake things. And I try to bake, but my stuff never comes out nearly as close as it.
Yeah.
But that's how I decompress. Is I love watching shows like that where there's a lot of creativity. People are baking stuff, they're building stuff. And I learned something new from it. It's fun. It's fun to see teams work together and try to do that and compete in a friendly way. Yeah. And so that's one of the ways I decompress. Beyond that, I've got some very energetic dogs. They've got some shepherd in them, so they're border collie and Australian cattle dog.
Oh, wow.
So when I'm not like watching TV, I'm usually walking them, 2 or 3 times a day. around San Dimas, trying to keep them, happy and engaged. So,
Yeah, very cool.
yeah.
Those are good de-stressors. I think you're doing well on that. Is there anything you wanted to express to members of our association or to anybody listening who has any, perspectives about like your role as city council member here in San Dimas?
Number one, I'm a big supporter of those who have answered the call and serve. And I'll do all I can as a city council member to ensure that we give you the resources and the support you need to do your job well. So that's number one. Number two, I want to just express my gratitude for those who answered that call. It's a tough job. I was talking earlier with the president about how the average deputy is putting in 100 plus hours a month, which is unsustainable. And I would hope that this is a temporary thing. I do hope that our recruit numbers reverse and we're able to start bringing in some fresh blood into the sheriff's department to alleviate that and to continue the tradition of excellence that the deputies here as well as throughout the county have made for the department.
Okay.
So thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for spending some time out of your very busy day to be on this podcast. And so that's it for now, folks. This concludes this episode of POPA Podcast, and we'll see you all very soon.
Thank you for having me.